Here's my thoughts on old school coaching and if we need more of it nowadays. Well, my opinion of and my experience of old school coaching was just hard, tough practices, right? Not always even very technical sometimes, just tough, hard practices. And, even in college, very technical, the Oklahoma State, obviously, but, they would lock us in the sauna. You can't do that nowadays. So when we talk about those kind of things, I think that's not necessary. They would take buckets of water. We were at the end of practice, or we'd be doing conditioning, and we'd see the buckets of water getting carried into the sauna. And we're like, oh my God. They throw the water onto the walls and saturate the walls. It gets so steamy in there. And, the first one to break and bust through the door, we could all leave once somebody broke mentally. And that's crazy old school stuff right there. In high school, no water breaks. It was like 2.5 hour practice. There was no wall mats back then. It was a concrete wall, and you had to wrestle on the wall. All right. And if you didn't wrestle on the wall, then you were a wuss, right? So there was so much water on the walls back then in high school. I graduated in 88. And then, college was, I graduated in 94. So early 80s, late 80s, early 90s. But they were so slippery in that wrestling room. And the walls had so much water on them. The window to the hallway had steam on it. Okay? And, no water breaks. Right? So I don't think that's good either. So those two old school things, I don't think there's ever a need for that. Because I think that was quite a bit overboard, and nowadays, you can kill somebody with doing some of that stuff. But I'm talking about the old school, like the coach pacing around, screaming at everybody, go harder, do more. A lot of times what happens is that's just ultra basic wrestling. So we kind of have a philosophy or an observation that, generally speaking, the most intense practices are the most basic, right? Doing push-ups, burpees. I blow a whistle, you stand up really hard, and you just keep blowing the whistle. But there's no technicality to the wrestling drills and practice. So that's the old school coaching that I'm talking about. I kind of think it's completely silly, because you can't just do it hard and expect to win. Now, sure, you can probably beat half the kids in the state by just doing it hard and just like a 5-year-old technique level stand-up. Do it again. Here goes the whistle. Oh, you're not doing it hard enough. Let's do 100 push-ups. See, that's the silliness that I'm talking about. So, but you want to have hard practices. So that's something I think we have mastered the art of, is how to have intense practices that are also very technical. Now, we also need to understand that there's certain positions that you're not going to score quickly. I blow the whistle, you hit a snap down, go behind, snap down, run the corner, right? Okay, that's kind of a quick takedown. I blow the whistle, you touch the mat. I blow the whistle second time, you hit a low single leg, partner sprawls, crackdown. Those are quick. Duck under. I get a duck under, I take you down like in 1/8 of a second. How about, if I hit a single leg and I get in 50-50 and I split the middle and I go to my leg hook and you're attacking my ankles, or you're healing the armpit, and now I gotta, all of the intricate finishes from, in a match, that's a 25 to 50 second finish. Not always in wrestling is it a quick finish, right? Getting off bottom is more of a feel than just going hard, right? Just a super duper hard 5-year-old level stand up, just doing it hard, it isn't going to make a difference. A lot of it's when you stand up, right? That's the reason we have a post-tension stand up, which is a setup to your stand up. You probably don't know it, but you probably should. It's on our online wrestling academy. You should probably already have that. About like 600-700 people train with us every week online. But so now, do I think the old school level intensity is needed? Oh yeah. You have to be intense. But I feel like what we try to do, what we do, and we do it probably the best job of anybody you'll ever meet. Sounds like I'm bragging, but it's just, this has been our desire since 1999, is to figure this out. Is think about someone being in a batting cage, you know, and you're just crushing balls. You get set, here's another one, hit it. Get set, ready. Here's another one, hit it. Time. Okay, hey, you know, you're not doing this. You're picking up your head. Okay, hit 5 really slow. Okay, now here we go. Let's go again. That looks better. That looks good. Okay, stop. You know, now you're not dipping that shoulder. Okay, go again. Or you are dipping it. I don't know much about baseball. Go again. See, but I mean, we're just crushing balls, man. That's intense. Somebody's screaming back and forth like it's 1991, you know, with a freaking whistle at you. Hit that ball harder, swing that bat harder, get set quicker, get set. We're not going hard enough. Turn it up. Let's do 10 push-ups. You didn't hit it home run hard enough. That's just silly. That's just screaming around, ranting. That's stupid. Don't do that. So the old school coaching style, I think, is silly. But I think that the intensity, I think some of us regress to that because we don't see intensity in our practices. It's because your practices are boring. And it's because you don't know how to teach. You don't know how to put the workers to work, right? That's our key phrase, put the workers to work. So if I go to the Taco Bell, the manager's not wrapping burritos, right? He's not pacing around screaming at everybody either. He's taught them how to wrap burritos. Okay, here's the assembly line. Boom, boom, boom. You go over there. You go over there. Up, little emergency. Let's go for the stop and fix this. Go again. So systematizing your practices, I think, is important. Teaching step by step, drilling in with the whistle drill format, drilling everything on a stopwatch and a whistle, right? We can control a $30 million man on a football field. Some 65-year-old fat-ass football coach can control all these $1 million men with a whistle and a stopwatch. So I control my wrestling room with a stopwatch and a whistle and a practice plan on a clipboard, right? So old school style torture, no, that was never a good thing. Don't do it. Old school style practices, no. Really, really hard, basic, barbaric practices where the skill is actually getting worse. Just like the guy in the batting cage who's getting barked at and punished with push-ups, his baseball swing is getting worse. But the earlier mentioned baseball player in a batting cage, that's what we want. But I think what we see is we see some kid, because they're kids, in a batting cage hitting a couple balls, and then he stands, he talks to his buddy, and he adjusts his glove, and, you know, it's like, no, stand in the batting. It's like if I'm chopping down a tree, keep the blade on the tree. Keep the blade on the tree. Keep the blade on the tree. Time on task. And that's what you have to do. So better classroom management skills, I think, is important. Just like the managerial skills of a Taco Bell manager, I think is going to help solve your problems a lot. And then you won't long for the days, or you parents sitting on the sidelines, you won't long for the days of the old school wrestling coach blowing the whistle stuff, because their wrestling is getting worse. Okay, now sure, they're dog ass tired and they're crawling out of there, and I still have parents all the time, they're like, just work them hard. I'm like, yeah, we'll do that, but guess what, I'm also gonna get somebody that has, you know, the best 78 wrestling techniques in the sport of wrestling, and you're going to sit and watch them drill that after 14 days of being at my camp, and your jaw's going to hit the floor. Your jaw's, and you better bring a video camera, because you're not going to believe what you see. That's what you should be hiring me for, not just to beat the crap out of your kid, right? You can get any local old coach to do that, right? So, and you cannot master a very technical drill plan like that, or even at our 5-day camps, it's a smaller drill plan, obviously. You can't master that by me pacing around screaming at you. And you can't master it if you have a low intensity practice either. So, you know, just think about the lumberjack. Think about the guy in the batting cage. Think about the wrestling room operating in that fashion, okay? Harder, 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 harder. Dude, you're going to get sloppy. So if I'm just trying to overwhelm the tree with effort, I'm going to hit the tree in a different spot every time. You're behind me screaming at me, threatening me with push-ups again. 23 years in business, never did one push-up. Well, we do it in conditioning at the end, but never punishment push-ups. Because if I can't manage a workout room like a man and I got to intimidate you and torture you to get you to comply, then I'm not a good coach. But so if I'm allowed to slow down a little bit and really focus, I can hit that tree in the same spot every time. I knocked a lot more trees down with a lot less strikes of the axe, a lot less effort. I don't need to take a lot of breaks. My body doesn't wear out, and I don't have to stop and sharpen my axe every 20 minutes either. So, you know, the lumberjack, the guy in the batting cage, you know, that's sort of the video clip that, or the, you know, that should be running in your mind. And when you think about wrestling like that too, I think then you're going to get on track. So let's get more organized as a coach and a classroom manager, and learn to put the workers to work through expert teaching methods. You shouldn't take 6 hours to teach them how to hit an underhook throw by. You shouldn't even take 10 minutes, all right? We have about a 3-minute limit per technique, and we master, right? And I prove it because parents are invited to come and watch. You're going to get to see how good we are, and you're going to get to see how good your kids are, and that you hired us to do the job. Sometimes we say, you know, if you hired me to wax the car, I should wax the whole car. What happens at camps and even, you know, practices, people say, if you learn just one move, then you got your money's worth this week. I'm like, bro, my kid's at the camp for 11 days. You can only promise one move. You know, if I hire you to wax my car, can you not wax the whole car? And it shouldn't be that freaking hard, right? So people say that at camps, and all the adults just nod their head and go, by God, that's right. He makes a good point. No, you're going to master everything. Otherwise, I'm not great. My coaches aren't great. Our system isn't great. We need to master everything. So I think when you start raising your standards as a coach and saying the pressure's on me. If the practice isn't intense, it's my fault. If their skill level sucks, it's my fault, right? If practices are boring and they want to quit, it's my fault. If they think I'm a jerk and half the kids quit and the whole hallway conversation is about how the wrestling coach is a jerk, that's my fault. If you have to retreat to being a jerk to try to get kids to work hard, they're going to hate you and they're not going to respect you and they're going to quit. And you need all those kids. You need a good word of mouth, just like a business does. So, you know, I would say you got to get better, all right? So, but you don't just default to punishment push-ups and screaming and yelling and belittling, and you don't resort to just blowing the whistle like a barbarian and creating a sweaty, sloppy blob at the end of practice that's just completely wasted his time and got worse. Because if you're screaming at me in the batting cage, I'm getting worse. My technique is worse. My skill is worse. My hitting gets worse. And, you know, sometimes the parents like, man, coach worked him hard. I love it. No, the coach made him a worse baseball player. So, you know, I'm against that. And I'm also against locking people in the sauna and not giving water breaks. But, you know, there's my take on the old school style, because we still see it rearing its head on occasion, and probably not a good thing. There's a better way. PurlerWrestling.com. Check us out.